everybody, Crystal Blessings, Hibiscus Moon here, and today I want to talk to you about more things I wished I knew before I started on my crystal path. This was kind of a popular topic with you all, and you wanted to know a few more things that I could share with you. And you want to know these things so you can avoid pitfalls, right? You can avoid wasting time, energy, and money. And, just like everyone else, I made a ton of mistakes when I first started out working with crystals. I've since then done research, worked through a lot of stuff, gathered data from my clients and students, and this information can save you a lot of time and energy and, of course, money with what I'm about to share with you today. So, question of the day, if you would go ahead and answer this in the comments below right now. What about working with crystals confuses you? Because there does seem to be a little bit of confusion sometimes for some of us. So I would love to know the answer to that. So the first part of what I want to share with you today is, this is one that's been coming up a lot lately. I need you to know, most citrine out on the market that looks like this or like this is fake. Okay, most commercially available citrine on the market is heated amethyst. Now, I don't know if this is going to show up for you. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah. All right. So this was an experiment my students did, and they took some amethyst and put it in their oven, put their oven, home oven in the kitchen on the highest setting possible and turned it into amethyst. And this is, turned it into citrine. So amethyst into citrine. This is what most sellers do, is they take a very lightly colored amethyst. Now, I wouldn't expect any of them to do it with this because this is beautiful spirit quartz, but this is the lightest color amethyst I had. And this would be about the hue, not very vibrant, very, very pale. And if it was a regular amethyst, it wouldn't normally sell as well. It's not considered as aesthetically pleasing. So they put it in an oven and heat it up, and they heat it until, the longer they heat it, the darker it gets. It can even get like this. We call this Madeira citrine. It's quite beautiful, actually. It's got that deep, deep, rich iced tea color. But one thing you'll notice with these is they're very brittle and friable. Okay, so if your citrine looks like that, or it even just looks like this, or like this is baked citrine, okay? So yeah, that pretty orange glittery stone is usually not the real deal, all right? One thing that I've talked about a lot recently is that the baked variety of citrines seems to have diminished with respect to its power. But the baked variety of citrine is the one that's most widely available. It's most affordable. It has more of that orange tint to it, like I just showed you. You won't find a large geode that's real citrine, like this one over here, not real. You will find baked citrine geodes like that. Personally, I prefer to stay away from man-made or tainted, altered crystals as much as possible. It's not always possible, it's not always practical, it's not always affordable, but I try to. Now, there's Congo and Brazil citrine and from other locales, but those are the most popular locales where natural, real citrine can come from. And that is a completely different animal. Completely natural and not baked, and it's going to be lighter in color, not orange. Okay, this is a Congo citrine. Okay, it can even be lighter like this one here. Okay, I've actually found their power to have recently increased with a shift in energy on our planet, in our solar system, most likely. I don't know that for sure, but it's a theory I have. Brazil citrine, and this one's from Brazil actually, it's an excellent crystal to pick up. It's a little less expensive than the Congo citrine. Congo citrines often will have all these little babies around the base. We call that an abundance crystal. Some people call it a manifestation crystal. But with Brazil citrine, sometimes it can be harder to identify it from the fake for some people. These Congo citrines have a lot of unique characteristics to them, so they're easier to identify. Here's another Congo citrine that's darker in color. Some might even call this a smoky, but what makes it citrine is that it has a yellow undertone. So especially take it out into the sunlight. If you see a yellow undertone, that's citrine, okay? I have also a tumbled stone. Now with the tumbled stones, it's much harder to figure out. Is that a baked citrine? Is that a natural citrine? But you've got to use logic in this. Someone who has natural citrine and knowing its value is highly unlikely to tumble it and turn it into a tumbled stone. So most, I would even venture to say 95% of the tumbled citrines are your baked amethyst variety, okay? So it's not always an easy task to tell the difference, but a few pointers. If it's a heat treated citrine, the color is going to be mostly concentrated at the tips and white at the bottom, okay? Also, heat treated citrine will be sort of crumbly and easily break apart, especially when you have little points on a geode like that. We call that friable, okay? And that is a direct result of the high temperatures they use in the oven. It seems to weaken the stability of the crystalline matrix at the molecular level. So I used to think that baking the citrine doesn't technically change the molecules, but it does weaken them. It does weaken those bonds because they become more friable. So it does change it on a certain level. So personally, I prefer not to work with the baked amethyst variety of citrine, but that's a personal choice. You have to test it out and see for yourself. I just want people to know out there that most of the citrine out there is baked amethyst. It's not actual real citrine. And sellers have been real good about telling people up front that that's what they have for sale there. But for a long time, it's not really like pulling the wool over anybody's eyes so much, because this is something that's been going on for hundreds of years probably, and it's just never really been disclosed up front. Oh, this is baked amethyst. It's just, that's citrine. That's what we've always called citrine. We've always baked it. So, you know, there's kind of a little debate going on with that. All right, the next thing I want to tell you to save you time and energy is, and money, because how many of us love to buy crystal books by the truckloads? I'm one of those people. No longer though, because most of the books out there say the same thing over and over and over again. They might vary it a little bit here and there, but when you're looking up books for crystal correspondences, a lot of them say the same things. You'll see a lot of commonalities. Or you'll get the other thing where one book might contradict another book. That doesn't happen as often, but let me tell you, in the beginning, when I first started out on my crystal path, I was really hungry for the information, as I'm sure you are too, or were as well. And I started to slowly realize, as I accumulated stacks of crystal books, that much of the info is just repetitive. And like I said, and then some of it actually conflicts and confuses you even more. So I realized which books had sound geologic data. If they were going to give scientific info, and I always prefer those books that have a little bit of scientific info, that it made sense. And I do know my way around the scientific info. So sometimes when they're saying stuff that just isn't true, I just kind of push that book to the side. They had good geologic data and consistent crystal meanings and correspondences. I also teach that I don't like relying on the books 100%, but I do like having them as a guide and a support. So I'm very selective with the crystal books I use and refer to and recommend. I feel it's good to have a couple highly recommended crystal reference books on hand, and then most importantly, get in there and work with your crystals, work with your stones, find out what they really do for you on an individual level. No book can ever tell you that, so don't rely on them too heavily. 2 book recommendations I am going to give you right now is, one is The Crystal Healer by my friend Philip Permit. This is an excellent book. I've always recommended it. It's got sound crystal correspondences here, and it's a great book to just reference your crystals. I mean, it's got great pictures, not museum quality pictures, so easy to identify the crystals that you have. But the thing that I really like about it, and he gives scientific info, metaphysical info, where the locales, the common sources, astrological associations, chakra associations, but it's color coded. So if you have an orange or a yellow crystal, you can just turn to the yellow section and easily identify your crystal. So if you're looking for a book that's going to help you ID your crystals, The Crystal Healer, highly recommend it. Another book, and this is actually on the mandatory reading list for my students in my Certified Crystal Healer course, is the Book of Stones. This is by Robert Simmons and Naisha Asian. This is an excellent book. It's mandatory in my course. It's an excellent reference book. Lots of information, sound scientific information, a great reference in the back for looking things up. The only drawback to it is the pictures are not, they're more museum quality. They're like not as easy to identify some of the crystals, not all of them, but I highly recommend that. So if you're looking for 2 book recommendations on crystal correspondences, those are the ones that I really, really like. Okay. And the third thing I want to deliver to you today is, this is a common misconception. Okay, a lot of people come to working with crystals thinking that before they start doing anything, they need to memorize a whole bunch of crystal correspondences and remember what crystal's good for this and what crystal's good for that. There is no need to memorize crystal meanings, none. When I first started on my crystal journey, that's what I thought I needed to do. I thought, oh, I'm not ready yet. I need to learn more. I need to memorize these meanings and see if there's a perfect crystal for this or that before I actually start doing anything. That couldn't have been farther from the truth. I wasted so much time trying to do that and memorize things. Do you know how many crystals and minerals there are? Over 4,500. So forget that idea. That is just ridiculous. There's no reason for it. Where is the reasoning for having to do that? But yet a lot of people come to it thinking that that's what they need to do. So the other thing about it too is, okay, say you memorized 100 crystal correspondences. This is something else I've been talking about a lot lately. That information, a lot of it is no longer relevant. Energy is shifting. And some crystal energy and meanings are changing too. This is why I teach my students, don't rely too heavily on that stuff. There's other more important things you need to do when working with crystals than memorizing correspondences. It's a good idea to actually, if you think you know your crystals really, really well and things haven't been working as good as usual, I think, and this is something I've been doing, it's a good idea to relearn how to interact with your crystals moving forward now in this new energy that we're in. Spend some time getting to know them all over again. Maybe just choose 4 crystals and spend a good amount of time getting to know them all really, really well. And I'm doing this right now, and I'm loving the experience of doing this. I'm having a great time doing that. And that's really all it comes down to. That's exactly why I don't teach my students to memorize crystal meanings or correspondences. Because first of all, it's not necessary to move on, to move forward. And secondly, a lot of this information is not relevant now. You know, just thinking back to when I first started, I eventually got tired of waiting around and trying to memorize meanings, and I began digging in and working with my crystals. And doing that made me wish that I had started the whole process way sooner, because I was getting immediate results and I felt confidence and so empowered. So there's no perfect method. There's no perfect stone or a perfect time to begin your crystal practice. You're never going to know enough. Like, okay, now I know enough. Now I can go ahead and begin. Personally, I'm on a perpetual learning and growth path. And I'm out here teaching crystal healing. You just need to go for it and start. You don't have to wait to take a course. You don't have to wait to be certified or read all the crystal books. And certainly you don't need to wait to memorize or put the work and effort into memorizing tons of names and correspondences and meanings. So my best advice there is to just dive in, start working with them. Just get to it. Okay, I hope this information was helpful to you. Crystal blessings to you all, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.